His first email as CTO was banning my ancient monitoring scripts. Those scripts were the only thing keeping 6 hospitals' patient data from leaking. I read it twice. Not because I didn't understand it, because I wanted to make sure I wasn't misreading it. I wasn't. There it was, company-wide, sent at 7:02 a.m. on a Monday morning. Subject line: Modernization Initiative, Phase 1. The body was 3 paragraphs of buzzwords and 1 bullet point that mattered. Effective immediately, all non-certified, locally maintained monitoring scripts are to be decommissioned and replaced with AgileShield SaaS platform integration. Non-certified, locally maintained. He meant mine. He meant Sentinel. I sat at my desk for a long time after that. The server room hummed behind the wall the way it always did. That low, constant vibration I'd been listening to for 20 years. Most people tuned it out. I never could. That hum meant the system was breathing. It meant 6 regional hospitals and 14 outpatient clinics were secure. It meant 247,000 patient records were locked behind walls I'd built with my own hands, on my own time, on my own equipment. And some kid who'd been CTO for less than a week wanted to tear them down because they weren't agile enough. My name is Leland Marsh. I'm 52 years old. I spent 8 years in the United States Navy as a cryptologic technician, Chief Petty Officer E7. I learned to code before most people in that building learned to read. When I left the service at 30, I finished my degree in 2 years and walked into Cairn Health Systems at 32 with a clearance, a skill set nobody else had, and 0 interest in office politics. That was 2004. 20 years ago. I started as a junior systems admin. By 2006, I was running the entire network infrastructure. By 2008, I'd identified a recurring security gap in the way our patient data moved between facilities. The hospital's off-the-shelf monitoring tools couldn't see it. They weren't built to see it. They were built for generic enterprise environments, not for the specific way Cairn's legacy systems talk to each other across 20 different facilities. So I built something that could. I wrote the first Sentinel scripts on my own laptop, at my kitchen table, at 11 p.m. on weeknights after my son Jack was in bed. My wife Sarah would bring me coffee and sit across from me reading her book. She never asked what I was working on. She just knew it mattered to me. Sarah was a patient at Cairn Regional, had been for years. Breast cancer screening, then treatment, then more treatment. Her records were in that system. Her blood work, her imaging, her oncology notes, everything. When I was writing Sentinel, I wasn't just thinking about compliance frameworks or network security protocols. I was thinking about her, about every patient like her whose most private medical information was sitting behind walls that weren't strong enough. She died 4 years ago. Breast cancer. The same record system I'd spent years protecting had tracked every step of her fight, every scan, every result, every decline. After she was gone, I threw myself deeper into the work. Jack was 17, finishing high school, and I told myself I was providing for him, keeping the lights on, paying for his future. And I was. But I was also hiding. The server room doesn't grieve. The hum doesn't stop. The code doesn't ask how you're sleeping. I missed Jack's high school baseball playoff game the spring after Sarah died. A ransomware attempt hit our radiology imaging network at 4:30 p.m. on a Thursday. I called Jack from the server room. He said, "It's fine, Dad." He was 18. It wasn't fine. I knew it wasn't fine. But the system needed me, and I told myself Jack would understand. He did understand. That's what made it worse. By 2012, Sentinel had grown from a handful of monitoring scripts into a comprehensive detection and alerting framework. It watched packet flows between facilities, flagged anomalous access patterns, monitored credential usage in real time, and sent me direct alerts for anything that fell outside established baselines. I maintained every line of it. I documented every update. And I did it on my personal equipment, on my personal time. That year, the CEO at the time, a man named Gerald Whitfield, called me into his office. Gerald was old school. Oak desk, framed Navy photo on the wall. He'd seen my service record when he hired me. He understood what Sentinel was, and more importantly, he understood that I'd built it from scratch without using a single company resource. Leland, this thing you've built is saving us millions in potential liability, he said. I want to make sure we're doing right by you. He had the legal team draft a special IP carve-out addendum. The language was specific. I retained full ownership of the Sentinel core logic. I licensed it to Cairn Health Systems for $1 per year. The license included a maintenance clause requiring that the scripts remain installed and operational in their intended environment. If Cairn modified, removed, or decommissioned the scripts without my written consent, the license would revoke automatically. I signed it. Gerald signed it. It was notarized and filed. I also registered the copyright with the USPTO. Registration number T X8942115. Gerald told me something that day. He handed me his pen. Silver, engraved with the Cairn logo. You built the walls around this place, Leland. Don't ever let anyone forget that. I kept that pen in my desk drawer for 12 years. Gerald retired in 2019. After that, the board shuffled leadership twice. Nobody touched my work. Nobody questioned Sentinel. The system ran clean. 0 major breaches in 20 years. Not one. The compliance auditors called our security posture exceptional 3 years running. Then, 3 months ago, the board appointed Owen Burke as Chief Technology Officer. Owen Burke, 30 years old. Wharton MBA, class of 2019. 12 months at a SaaS startup in Austin that got acquired before it ever turned a profit. Designer haircut, perfect teeth, slim fit suit that cost more than my monthly obligation to Jack's tuition. He walked into the building on his first day, carrying a MacBook Pro under one arm, and a confidence that had absolutely no foundation beneath it. His father-in-law was William Estes, chairman of the board, 72 years old. William was old school in most respects, a decent man who'd built Cairn's board over decades. But he had one blind spot the size of a canyon, and that blind spot had a Wharton degree and a wedding ring connected to his daughter. Owen didn't introduce himself to the engineering team for the first 2 weeks. He spent that time in his glass-walled corner office with the door closed, typing on his MacBook, taking video calls with vendors. When he finally called a department-wide meeting, he stood at the front of the conference room, sleeves rolled to his forearms, and said, "Let's talk about optimization." He talked for 40 minutes. He used the word scalable 11 times. I counted. He said digital transformation 4 times. He said agile 7 times. He said legacy 6 times. Every time he said legacy, he looked at me. "We're carrying dead weight," he said. "Old systems, old processes, old thinking." Cairn has been coasting on outdated infrastructure for years. That ends now. We're pivoting to a modern, scalable security posture. Agile Shield, cloud native, real time, the future. I raised my hand. Owen, the current monitoring framework has maintained 0 major breaches across 20 facilities for over a decade. What specific vulnerability does Agile Shield address that the existing system doesn't? He smiled. The kind of smile you give a dog that's done a trick. Leland, I appreciate the institutional perspective, but we need to move past the institutional perspective. Fresh eyes, new energy, that's what the board hired me for. He didn't answer the question. I noticed, if you've ever had a boss or been in a situation like this, hit that like button and subscribe. 2 weeks later, on a Tuesday, at 10:15 a.m., I was called to Owen's office. The glass walls let everyone on the floor see in. He knew that. He wanted them to see. He was sitting behind his desk, looking at his MacBook. He didn't look up when I walked in. An HR rep named Janet Whitfield stood behind him, holding a tablet against her chest, eyes fixed on the floor. She looked like she was watching someone pull a pin from a grenade. "Sit down, Leland." I sat. "We're terminating your position effective immediately," he said, still looking at his screen. "Your scripts have been decommissioned as of this morning. Agile Shield is fully deployed. We're moving to a scalable, agile environment, Leland. We don't need relics guarding the gate. Your scripts are dead weight." He said it like he'd rehearsed it. He probably had. "Your severance package is standard. 6 months, contingent on signing the standard release. HR will walk you through it." He finally looked up. Smiled. Those perfect teeth. "No hard feelings. This is about the company's future." I sat there for exactly 4 seconds. The server room hum was faint through the wall. Still breathing. Not for long. "I understand perfectly," I said. "I'll have my things out by noon. I want to do this right." Owen blinked. He'd expected something. Pushback. Anger. Maybe begging. He got none of it. Janet shifted her weight, still staring at the floor. I stood up. I shook his hand because that's what you do. His grip was soft. I turned and walked toward the door. And then I heard it. The door to the side conference room was cracked. Owen had already picked up his phone. William Estes was on speaker. I stopped in the hallway. The hallway carried sound better than people realized. "It's done," Owen said. "Clean. No drama." "Good." William's voice. Tired. Old. "Did he push back?" "Not a word. Exactly what I told you. He won't cause problems. He's got a kid in college. He needs the severance. He'll fall in line." I stood in that hallway for 6 seconds, listening to them plan my irrelevance. Then I walked to my desk, opened the drawer, and took out Gerald Whitfield's silver pen. I held it for a moment, felt the weight of it, the engraving under my thumb. I put it in my jacket pocket, picked up the cardboard box with 20 years of my professional life in it, and walked out of Cairn Health Systems without saying a word to anyone. The parking garage smelled like concrete and exhaust. I put the box in the bed of my truck. I sat in the driver's seat with both hands on the wheel. I didn't start the engine. I reached into my jacket, took out my phone, and called Arthur Miller. Arthur picked up on the second ring. He always did. "It's Leland," I said. "They fired me. And they deleted Sentinel." 3 seconds of silence. "They deleted it," Arthur repeated. "This morning. Company-wide decommission. Owen's orders." Arthur Miller was 54, former Navy JAG. He'd been Cairn's general counsel for 9 years. He was also the only person besides me and the late Gerald Whitfield who knew exactly what the 2012 IP carve-out said. Every word of it. "Leland," he said quietly. "You understand what that means?" "Yes." "The maintenance clause. Removal without written consent triggers automatic license revocation." "I know." "And registration TX8942115 is still active under your name." "It is." Silence again. Then Arthur exhaled. "Don't sign the severance release. Don't sign anything. Go home, pour yourself a drink, and don't answer your phone for anyone except me." I started the truck. "Arthur," I said. "Yeah." He called them dead weight. A pause. Then, very quietly, "His mistake." I pulled out of the parking garage and into the daylight. The sun was too bright for a Tuesday morning. The kind of bright that felt wrong after what just happened. But something had shifted. Not broken. Shifted. Like tumblers in a lock clicking into place, one by one, the way they'd been designed to. I drove home. I had nowhere else to be. If you've ever had a boss who thought your experience was a liability instead of an asset, hit that like button and subscribe. I got home at 11:40 a.m. The house was quiet. It was always quiet now. Had been for 4 years. I hung my jacket on the hook by the door, put the cardboard box on the kitchen table, 20 years fit in a box you could carry with one arm. That tells you something about how much of your life a company actually keeps. I opened the cabinet above the stove and pulled down the Woodford Reserve. Not the daily drinker. The bottle Sarah bought me for our 15th anniversary. The one I'd been rationing since she died. Because when it was gone, it was gone. I poured 3 fingers into a glass, no ice, and set it on the counter. Then I turned off my phone. Not silenced. Off. I held the power button and watched the screen go black. I set it face down on the counter next to the bourbon and stood there in my kitchen listening to nothing. The house smelled like old coffee and dust. Sarah's reading chair was still in the corner of the living room. I hadn't moved it. Jack asked me once if I was going to, and I said I hadn't decided. That was 3 years ago. I still hadn't decided. I picked up the bourbon and walked to the back deck. Sat down in the wooden chair I'd built the summer after Sarah's first round of chemo. She'd wanted somewhere to sit outside and feel the sun. I built it in 2 days. Sanded every edge so she wouldn't catch a splinter on skin the drugs had made thin as paper. I sat there and drank. Slowly. The neighborhood was empty. Everyone at work. Everyone doing the thing you're supposed to do on a Tuesday at noon. I wasn't doing anything. For the first time in 20 years, I had nowhere to be and nothing to maintain. It should have felt terrible. It didn't. It felt like the 6 seconds before a deployment exercise, when the briefing was done and the plan was set, and there was nothing left but execution. Calm. Absolute calm. The kind they teach you in the Navy when the only thing worse than a crisis is panicking during one. I finished the bourbon, went inside, turned on the landline answering machine, a habit Sarah had insisted on keeping, because she didn't trust cell towers during storms. I'd never disconnected it. Then I went to my home office, sat down at my personal laptop, and opened the folder I'd kept updated every quarter since 2012. The 2012 IP carve-out. Notarized original. Scanned copy. Gerald Whitfield's signature next to mine. The maintenance clause, Section 4, B. Licensee shall maintain the licensed software in its intended operational environment without modification, removal, or decommissioning. Any such action taken without the express written consent of the licenser shall constitute a material breach, and the license shall revoke automatically upon such breach, effective immediately. The USPTO copyright registration. TX 8942115. Filed under my name, never transferred, never assigned. Arthur had told me something in 2012, the day I registered it. File it under your name. You can always assign it later if you want to. I never did. I drafted the notice of license termination for cause. The language was precise. I cited the carve-out, the registration number, the specific date and time of the breach. On Tuesday at 10:15 a.m., Cairn Health Systems, acting through its Chief Technology Officer Owen Burke, decommissioned and deleted the licensed software in direct violation of Section 4B of the IP carve-out addendum, dated March 14, 2012. The license is hereby revoked. Any further use, reinstallation, or creation of derivative works based on the licensed software is prohibited without express written consent of the copyright holder. I printed it, signed it, drove to the notary at the UPS store on 5th Street, had it notarized at 2:47 p.m., sent it certified mail, return receipt requested, to Cairn Health Systems, attention General Counsel. Then I drove home and waited. The first 5 days were quiet. Arthur called once on the landline. Notice was received and signed for Thursday morning. I made sure it was logged into the legal file before Owen's people could bury it. Good. How are you doing? Fine. Leland. I'm fine, Arthur. I'm sleeping better than I have in years. That was true. I slept 7 hours that first night. Hadn't done that since before Sarah got sick. The silence was the strategy. No angry emails, no lawyer letters, no threats, nothing from my end. Just the notarized notice sitting in Karen's legal files like a seed in concrete, waiting. Owen, meanwhile, was busy. Douglas Reed called the landline on day 3. Douglas was 48, lead database admin, had been at Karen almost as long as I had. Good man. Honest. The kind of guy who kept his head down and did the work and noticed everything. Leland, it's Doug. I know. Owen ripped it all out, Leland. Every script, every monitoring hook, every alert pathway. He had the junior admins wipe the servers clean and install Agile Shield across all 20 facilities in 72 hours. 72 hours, I said, for 20 facilities. Yeah, it took me 14 months to calibrate Sentinel across that network. I know. What's Agile Shield doing? Doug was quiet for a moment. The servers are screaming. Leland, latency is up 340% on the data exchange between the hospitals and the outpatient clinics. Agile Shield doesn't understand our packet routing. It's flagging legitimate traffic as anomalous and letting actual anomalous traffic through because it doesn't know the difference. It wasn't built for this environment. It wasn't built for any environment like this. Did anyone tell Owen? I told him Tuesday afternoon. He said it was a calibration issue and to give it time. What did you say? I said it wasn't a calibration issue. I said the system doesn't understand the network topology because no one mapped it for the new platform. And he told me to submit a ticket to Agile Shield support. I closed my eyes. Doug, listen to me. Document everything. Every alert you see. Every anomaly report. Every latency spike. Timestamp it. Save it somewhere Owen can't reach. Already started. Smart man. By day 10, the problems weren't theoretical anymore. Douglas called again. His voice was different this time. Tight. We're getting credential anomalies on the radiology network at Cairn Regional. Same vector as the 2008 gap. The one Sentinel was specifically built to catch. Agile Shield won't see it, I said. It doesn't know that vector exists. It doesn't. How many facilities are showing the pattern? 3 so far. Cairn Regional, Westbrook Clinic, and St. David's Outpatient. I didn't say anything for a while. 3 facilities. The same vulnerability I'd identified 16 years ago, crawling back through the walls because the walls weren't there anymore. Get out of there by 5 o'clock every day, Doug. Don't stay late. Don't try to fix it yourself. It's not your system anymore. Leland, there are patient records on those servers. I know whose records are on those servers. He heard it in my voice. He didn't push. Day 14, day 15, day 16. I sat on the back deck each evening and watched the light drain out of the sky. I called Jack on Wednesday of the second week. He could tell something was different. Dad, you sound weird. Weird how? I don't know. Relaxed. It's freaking me out. I'm taking some time off. You don't take time off. You've never taken time off. I am now. Are you going to keep calling me more than once a month? Yeah, Jack, I am. He was quiet for a second. Good. That's good, Dad. Day 18. A Friday. 6:47 a.m. I was sitting at the kitchen table with black coffee when my landline rang. Douglas Reed. It happened. His voice was barely above a whisper. Leland. It happened. Tell me. Full breach. The radiology network vector. It spread through the data exchange layer to all 6 hospitals. Agile Shield didn't flag it. Didn't even see it. The attackers had been inside for at least 4 days before anyone noticed. By the time the night shift admin caught the exfiltration traffic, they'd pulled 247,000 patient records. Names, social security numbers, insurance data, medical histories, everything. 247,000 records. Every scan, every blood panel, every oncology note. Records like Sarah's. Local news has it, Doug said. Channel 4 ran it at 6. Owen's in the building. He looks like he hasn't slept. He's got Agile Shield's support team on a video call in the main conference room. They're telling him it's a configuration issue. It's not a configuration issue. I know that. You know that. Owen doesn't know that. Leland, he tried to reinstall Sentinel this morning. I set down my coffee. He had 2 junior admins pull the deployment backup from the archive server, but the core logic is encrypted. The monitoring hooks won't initialize without the authentication key. He doesn't have it. Nobody has it. It's yours. I know. He's been calling your cell phone since 5 a.m. I looked at my cell phone, still face down on the counter where I'd left it 18 days ago. I walked over and pressed the power button. The screen lit up. It took 90 seconds to load. 47 missed calls from Owen Burke. 12 voicemails. 23 text messages. The first ones were professional. Leland, call me when you get this. Urgent. The middle ones dropped the pretense. We need the authentication key now. This is a crisis. The last one, sent at 5:52 a.m. that morning, said, just give us the password to the backup. Name your price. I stared at the screen for a long time. The rain had started outside. I could hear it hitting the windshield of my truck in the driveway. That slow, steady rhythm. My phone buzzed in my hand. Owen Burke. Call number 48. I watched his name pulse on the screen. Watched it ring once, twice, 3 times, 4. I slid my thumb across the glass. Just give us the password to the backup, Owen said. He sounded breathless. There is no password, Owen. There is no license. You terminated it the moment you hit delete. I hung up. Set the phone back on the counter. Face down. 48 calls. Not one of them was an apology. Every single one was a demand. Give us the key. Name your price. Call me back. Like I was a vending machine he could shake until something fell out. I picked up the landline and called Arthur Miller. It's Leland. I saw the news, Arthur said. Channel 4, Channel 7, and it just hit the AP wire. 247,000 patient records. HHS is going to open a HIPAA investigation before lunch. They should. Owen tried to reinstall your scripts. I know. Doug told me. Then you know he can't. And you know that under the terms of the cease and desist I filed on your behalf 9 days ago, any attempt to use, reinstall, or create derivative works from Sentinel constitutes willful copyright infringement under registration TX 89421115. I know that too. Good, because I just got a call from Owen Burke's personal attorney. He wants to negotiate access to the authentication key. He offered $200,000. I almost laughed. Almost. Arthur, they just exposed 247,000 patient records. The HIPAA fine alone is going to be 8 figures. And he's offering $200,000 for the key to the only system that could have prevented it. I told him the same thing, in more legal language. He didn't enjoy hearing it. What did you tell him? That the license was revoked pursuant to Section 4B of the 2012 IP carve-out. That any reinstallation without a new licensing agreement executed by the copyright holder would expose Cairn to additional liability, and that my client was not currently accepting phone calls. Silence for a beat. Leland, the board is meeting Monday. William Estes called an emergency session. I've been asked to present the legal exposure. How bad is it? 18.4 million in projected HIPAA fines based on the record count and the number of facilities affected. 2 class action lawsuits already being drafted by plaintiffs' firms. State Attorney General's office has requested documentation. And that's before the SEC looks at whether the board was notified of the security infrastructure change before it was implemented. Was it? No. Owen acted unilaterally. No board resolution. No risk assessment filed. No compliance review. He sent a company-wide email and started ripping out systems the same week. That's what I thought. The board doesn't know about the IP carve-out yet, Leland. Not all of them. William Estes may have seen it in 2012, but if he did, he forgot. Owen certainly never read it. He never read anything that wasn't on a slide deck. When are you going to tell them? Monday, at the meeting, in front of everyone. I want Owen in the room when I do it. I picked up Gerald Whitfield's pen from the kitchen table where I'd set it the day I was fired. Turned it in my fingers. The engraving caught the light. Arthur. Yeah, I want to be in that room too. 3 seconds of quiet. I was hoping you'd say that. Monday morning. Day 21. I put on the charcoal suit I'd last worn at Sarah's funeral. White shirt, no tie. I'd lost 6 pounds in 3 weeks, and the jacket hung a little different, but it still fit where it mattered. I put Gerald's pen in the breast pocket. I drove to Cairn Health Systems headquarters and parked in the visitor lot. Not the employee lot. I didn't work there anymore. The lobby felt different. Quieter than it should have been for 9 a.m. on a Monday. The receptionist recognized me. Her eyes went wide for half a second before she caught herself. Mr. Marsh, you're expected in the 4th floor boardroom. Thank you, Linda. I took the elevator alone. 4th floor. The doors opened onto the corridor I'd walked 1,000 times. The conference room at the end had floor-to-ceiling windows and a polished mahogany table that sat 14. I could see figures through the frosted glass panels. The room was full. I opened the door. Didn't knock. 8 board members sat around the table. William Estes at the head, looking every one of his 72 years. His face was gray. His hands were flat on the table in front of him, perfectly still, the way a man holds himself when he's trying not to shake. Owen Burke sat 3 chairs to William's right. His designer haircut was still perfect. His suit was still slim fit and expensive, but his face was wrong. The performance confidence was gone. In its place was something I recognized from the Navy, the look of a man who's just realized the water is deeper than he thought, and he never learned to swim. Arthur Miller sat directly across from Owen. He had a manila folder in front of him. Thick. He looked at me when I walked in and gave the smallest nod. There was one empty chair. It was at the opposite end of the table from William Estes. In front of it, someone had placed a printed nameplate on a folded card. It read, Leland Marsh. Copyright holder, Sentinel Framework. Arthur's doing. I was sure of it. I walked to the chair. Every eye in the room followed me. I sat down. I placed my hands flat on the mahogany, the way you do when you want people to see that your hands are steady. Thank you for coming, Leland, William Estes said. His voice was hoarse. Mr. Estes. Owen leaned forward. Leland, before we start, I want to say... Mr. Burke. Arthur's voice cut across the table like a blade. I'd advise you to let counsel speak first. Owen's mouth closed. His jaw worked once. He leaned back. Arthur opened the manila folder. Inside were 3 documents, each in its own clear sleeve. He laid them on the table one at a time, like a dealer laying cards. Document 1. The Special IP Carve-Out Addendum, dated March 14, 2012, signed by Leland Marsh and then CEO Gerald Whitfield, notarized and filed. This document establishes Mr. Marsh as the sole owner of the Sentinel monitoring framework and licenses it to Cairn Health Systems for $1 per year, subject to a maintenance clause requiring the software remain installed and operational. Section 4, B states clearly, removal or decommissioning without written consent of the licensor constitutes material breach and triggers automatic revocation. He let that sit. Then he laid the second document. Document 2, USPTO, copyright registration, TX 8942115, filed under the name Leland Marsh. Never transferred. Never assigned. Still active. The third document. Document 3. A certified notice of license, termination for cause, notarized on Tuesday at 2:47 p.m., the same day Mr. Marsh was terminated. This notice was received and signed for by Cairn's legal office on Thursday morning. It has been in our files for 17 days. Owen stared at the documents. His face drained of color, the way a screen dims when the power cuts. Slowly, then all at once. That's not, he started. It is, Arthur said. Every word, every clause, every registration number. I looked at Owen across 20 feet of polished mahogany. I told you they were ancient, Owen. My voice was level. The server room hum was gone. The building was quieter than I'd ever heard it. I didn't say they were yours. Owen turned to William. This is a clerical issue, a legacy contract from a previous administration. The board cannot override federal copyright law, Mr. Burke. Arthur didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. And to be clear about the full scope of exposure, as of this morning, HHS has opened a formal HIPAA investigation into the breach of 247,000 patient records. Projected fines are $18.4 million. 2 class action lawsuits have been filed naming Cairn Health Systems and, individually, the officer who authorized the removal of the security infrastructure. That officer is you. Owen's mouth opened. Nothing came out. William Estes closed his eyes. He sat like that for a long time. When he opened them, he wasn't looking at Owen. He was looking at me. I let family cloud my business judgment, he said. Quiet. The words cost him something. I could see it. I'm sorry, Leland. I should have known better. I didn't say anything. There was nothing to say that the room didn't already know. William reached for the document Arthur slid in front of him. A board resolution. Termination of Owen Burke as CTO for cause, effective immediately. Beneath it, a second resolution. Appointment of Leland Marsh as Chief Information Security Officer with full authority over all security infrastructure, reporting directly to the board. William picked up his pen. His hand shook once. He signed both documents. The board voted. 8-0. Unanimous. Owen stood up. His chair scraped against the floor. He looked around the room like he was waiting for someone to object. No one did. You're making a mistake, he said. All of you. The security guard who appeared at the door was the same one who'd watched me carry my box to the parking garage 21 days earlier. He recognized me. I saw it in his eyes. He didn't smile. He didn't need to. Mr. Burke, the guard said, I'll walk you out. Owen Burke left the boardroom at 9:47 a.m. on a Monday. He did not take a cardboard box. He did not shake anyone's hand. The glass door closed behind him with a soft click. The same sound it made when I'd left. Click. The room exhaled. Arthur gathered his documents. Board members spoke quietly to each other. William Estes sat at the head of the table, staring at the termination papers he'd just signed for his own son-in-law. I sat in my chair for a moment longer. Then I reached into my breast pocket and took out Gerald Whitfield's silver pen. I set it on the table next to the nameplate. The engraving caught the overhead light. I picked up the pen, the CISO contract Arthur slid in front of me. $385,000. Full authority. Direct board reporting. I read every line, every clause, every word. Then I signed it, with Gerald's pen. That evening, I sat on the back deck, the wooden chair. Sarah's chair was empty beside me, the way it always was. The sky was doing that thing it does in late spring, where the light goes gold, and then copper, and then gone. The neighborhood was quiet. Somewhere down the block, a kid was bouncing a basketball on a driveway. I opened my bank app on my phone. The first installment of the settlement and back licensing fees had posted at 4:15 p.m. I looked at the number for a few seconds, then closed the app. I called Jack. He picked up on the third ring. Hey, Dad. What's up? You never call on Mondays. Don't worry about the tuition for next semester, son. It's covered. Silence. Then, Dad, what happened? I'll tell you this weekend. You free Saturday? I want to come see you. Yeah, I've got a game at noon. I'll be there. For real? For real. He was quiet for a second. You seem different, Dad. Like, actually different. Not just saying you're fine. I am different. Good. That's really good. I hung up and set the phone down. Picked up the bourbon. 3 fingers. The Woodford Reserve, not the daily drinker. I was running low. Maybe a dozen pours left in the bottle. But tonight felt like the right night. The city lights were coming on across the valley. One by one, like systems coming back online. The air smelled like cut grass and rain. I thought about Sarah, about her records sitting in that system alongside 247,000 others, about the walls I'd built around them and the kid who tore them down because he thought old meant broken. I took a sip, set the glass on the arm of the chair, because when you've spent 20 years building the walls, you're the only one who knows where the loose bricks are. Sometimes justice doesn't roar. It arrives quietly, with calm hands and steady resolve. If you enjoyed this story, hit that like button and let me know what you think in the comments. And if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe and ring that notification bell to get alerts about new stories like this one. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.